Welcome to day 2 of our Mystic Mirrors. So I was leaning towards another mystic for today, and then it dawned on me that today, July 16th, is the feast of Our Lady of Mount Carmel. And my vows, my simple and my solemn vows, happened on the weekend of July 15th, 16th. I thought, oh, I can't not do Mary. Now, I certainly could allow this reflection to go into Mary as shown as Our Lady of Mount Carmel, but I would prefer to draw upon the text from Luke that is called the Annunciation. And my name was Sister Annunziata, so it has special power and meaning for me, because therein we experience a very nuanced, almost cryptic entry into this person we called Mary, and how deeply she was a mystic and how few words are given. Now, there could be lots of reasons few words were given. In the time, oftentimes men's words were recorded more than women's words. That's probably a big factor. The other is that maybe there wasn't much to say, and Mary, because of her deep contemplative way of living, didn't give a lot of words to this encounter. She was alone with an archangel, and so it would have been her recounting. So there's lots of reasons. But one of the things that I would like to put out there as we examine this text is to invite you to open up in your relationship with Mary, or to a relationship with her that is outside the traditional setup. Because all we have of her mostly in the mainstream text is how much she pondered things inwardly. And, the pictures we have of her are really turned inward. A lot of times the interpretation with that is that she, as representative of the feminine, is quiet and silent. And I know that my experiences of her, there is a wordlessness in her presence, but it is strong. It is like Gaia energy or Kali energy. It's like Kuan Yin energy. And with that, you have not only the deep inwardness showing how incredibly one she was with the divine, but you have it expressing outward as the situation calls for it. And that is one of the beauty of the gifts of the divine feminine, is the divine feminine is that transformative energy that acts when it is for the highest good, that speaks words that are truly evocative and transformative. And even if it's a gendered identified man that's speaking transformative words, it is, I believe, the divine feminine aspect, the yang feminine, that is speaking through the person, regardless of how they may identify. So again, I invite you to let your relationship with Mary, if you want one, you may not want one, to step out of the bounds of this feminine that is just simply the unconditional, compassionate container of all, and let it be that and the active Kali energy, and the active Gaia creative birthing energy, and the active Kuan Yin that hears all the world's sounds and responds with compassion and action. Right. So let's take a look at that passage. I'm not going to read the passage. I'm going to recount it to you. Mary is, as the setup is that she's in solitude, and she's reading or writing or praying or contemplating. She's doing something very quiet by herself. And the room becomes illumined. And then before her appears an archangel, Gabriel. And Gabriel means messenger of God. And Gabriel, as he appears before her, says words that are recorded and repeated for ages on end. Hail, full of grace, God is with you. It starts like that. What would that be like if that happened to you? If you were in a moment of quiet contemplation and a saint or an archangel or a goddess or a bodhisattva appears to you, or any spiritual being, and says to you, speaking, knowing you, looking into your being, and says to you, "Hail, full of grace." How would that leave you feeling? You might have a myriad of responses. Mary is recorded as pondering what it says and being perplexed and wondering, what does this even mean? Like, how is this even being said? So in that moment, she is experiencing a revelation in her own being. So if it's true to the text that she wondered what the greeting meant, it was a next step in her awakening to move from not considering her inner nature to be that to considering her inner nature to be that. Whoa, right? She opens to it. How can this be? How can this be? And she is given assurance. Do not be afraid. So imagine again that this is happening for you. There is a spiritual being that appears and you're perplexed. Oh my gosh, seriously? I'm me full of grace? And the first assurance you get is, do not be afraid. The revelation of your essential nature as divine is nothing to be afraid of. And then immediately he launches into the fact that she is going to physically bear God. She's going to bear God. Now she shifts and becomes audacious and confident. And in her innocence, she said, how is this going to happen? Isn't that a worthy question? If a spiritual being came to you and stood before you and revealed something that is contrary to the normal workings of nature, it would be fairly normal response for any of us to wonder and to say to ourselves or to the one before us, how is this going to happen? Even if we believe it's possible, we still might say, how is this actually going to happen? And in her innocence and curiosity, she questions in such a way that it evokes an answer. The Holy Spirit is going to come upon you. And in this love experience, you will get pregnant. How powerful is that, right? How powerful. And then the angel goes forward saying that nothing is impossible with the divine, with God. Nothing is impossible. Listen to that. Nothing is impossible. Huge. Well, in that, then what does she do? She responds and she says, may it be so. May it be so. She doesn't resist. She doesn't doubt. She is so awakened at that point in her own becoming that she's capable of saying, may it be done. Now, what an incredible step-by-step model she gives to us that we may enter into each moment as we awaken on our paths as well. So let me recount those steps. There is the revelation, hail full of grace. And that acknowledgement can come through supernatural means or natural means. Pulling an inspirational card that says you are divine. If we're open to it, it can come alive through holding a cup of tea. And then with that, we enter into it dynamically, exactly where we are. Mary was perplexed and pondered what it meant. She pondered what it meant. That's powerful. That's what we can do too. What does this mean? We can get curious. And then we listen to what the answer is. And we get the assurance that this is all attuned with, it's safe, it's attuned with who we are, and that great things are going to come. What's going to come is that each time we are on the edge of our new evolution, of our awakening, each time we were on the edge, what happens is we get pregnant in a new way with the divine. We birth Theotokos, birther of God. We birth God in a new way, not just once, but many times in our life. And even as we acknowledge that is a call, we can still then after that say, how is this actually going to happen? So even when we're on board, it's so wonderful and delightful to the divine that we say with confidence and with hope and with a willingness to trust and surrender, how is it going to happen? Because when we ask a question that opens us up through faith, through trust, through surrender, the answer can come to us. And Mary models that when she opened up with this stance, the answer came immediately. It's the Holy, it's Spirit, it's Spirit. It's Spirit. Now, in this text, the Holy Spirit comes upon her, which would have fit with her understanding of the workings of God. And it would have been drawing forth in her experience what it means to then birth God from the inside out. Perhaps this was her big revelation, to discover that God is not far and mysterious and remote, but God is actually immanent in her very being. This could have been one of those moments for her for the first time. We don't know. She doesn't say. But it could have been that she was awakening to. And our call is that as well. And then when the answer comes, she models to us, may it be so. May it be so. Very powerful, isn't it? She gives us a wonderful, wonderful step-by-step process that we can bring into every single moment, as you and I are called to be Theotokos, bearers of God, in form. That's the power again of this story, is that it is not just you're going to bear God etherically, but you're going to bear it in form, which will contain the breadth of the human experience. Powerful, yes? So powerful. So today's meditation, we're going to reorient a phrase of the Hail Mary. So as you know, the Dominicans, actually Dominic, brought into structure the recitation that we call the Rosary. And there's reason to believe that he modeled it after a lot of mala practices that would have preceded that, because malas are traditionally 108 beads, and a rosary has mainly 54, which is half of that amount. And recitation with beads would have been very popular in humanity from as early as we can recount. So the rosary, while it's a new inspiration, is not new in its form. But he kind of brought it all together into a new structure and combined prayers that would have existed. We think that the Our Father would have been words that Jesus would have spoken from his Judaic tradition. And we think that the Hail Mary would have existed from the time Mary was alive, or even right after her passing, as people experienced her. If you were to look around at historical accountings, you will find that Mary, as God-bearer, as the illumination of divine presence, the fullness of grace, appears in so many cultures, right? Today's Our Lady of Mount Carmel, it's just one of many. In 1251, she appeared to the leader of the Carmelites, the order I was a part of, and gave the scapular to Simon Stock, the scapular that became this healing garment and still remains healing today in its sacramental quality. But how many ways has she appeared? Our Lady of Lourdes, Our Lady of Fatima, Our Lady of Guadalupe, and a host. Medjugorje is a more popular one, but there's so many appearances of this spiritual being that we call by the word Mary. Mary. So we are going to then do a wonderful little chant, and it's just going to go from one phrase to another, to back, tone to tone to tone. It's going to sound like this. Hail Mary, full of grace, God is within you. May we awaken to this too. Hail Mary, full of grace, God is within you. May we awaken to this too. It's a mantra, and we're going to invite her into our own awakening process. So I invite you to close your eyes. And if you want to pause this recording and get some beads of some kind, let yourself get some beads. We're not going to do a full traditional recitation of this. We're just going to go to a certain point. And as you sit this day, giving yourself this day in your own way, in silence or aloud, wherever you may be sitting, invite in whatever type of divine feminine presence appeals or resonates to you. And if you're comfortable, invite Mary in some form. And let yourself hear the possibility that you are full of grace, and that foundational to your awakening could be your ascent to this divine nature at the center of your being. For the ascent or the openness to the possibility opens you to the experience of bearing God, the experience of nothing is impossible with the divine. And why not try? Try it on. It's something that doesn't have any contraindications. If it ends up not working for you, something new will appear. And together we begin our mantra, inviting in a breath. Hail Mary, full of grace, God is within you. May we awaken to this too. You can substitute, may I awaken to this too, if you would like. Hail Mary, full of grace, God is within you. May I awaken to this too. You can substitute the world. Hail Mary, full of grace, God is within you. May the world awaken to this too. Hail Mary, full of grace, God is within you. May I awaken to this too. Hail Mary, full of grace, God is within you. May you awaken to this too. Hail Mary, full of grace, God is within you. May I awaken to this too. I'll continue with I, but you continue with what works for you. Hail Mary, full of grace, God is within you. May I awaken to this too. Hail Mary, full of grace, God is within you. May I awaken to this too. Hail Mary, full of grace, God is within you. May I awaken to this too. Hail Mary, full of grace, God is within you. May I awaken to this too. Hail Mary, full of grace, God is within you. May I awaken to this too. Hail Mary, full of grace, God is within you. May I awaken to this too. Hail Mary, full of grace, God is within you. May I awaken to this too. Hail Mary, full of grace, God is within you. May I awaken to this too. Hail Mary, full of grace, God is within you. May I awaken to this too. Hail Mary, full of grace, God is within you. May I awaken to this too. Hail Mary, full of grace, God is within you. May I awaken to this too. Hail Mary, full of grace, God is within you. May I awaken to this too. And together we enter into the silence. We bring this day 2 to a close. I invite you to walk in this presence today. And wiggle your fingers and wiggle your toes. Let a smile come upon your lips. When you're ready, open your eyes. Blessings, my friends. Great to be with you. See you tomorrow, live, 6:30 a.m. Mountain Time.